Under new business, we're pleased to have our guest Tracie Troxler. And Jamie and Patrick, can you help with the introduction of Tracie? I believe you know Tracie from the past.
Yes.
If you need help with the introduction, that would be terrific.
I'll let her do her formal introduction, but I remember Tracie coming. It's been some years now, but she was introduced kind of the same way she's going to be to you guys tonight. She has a great composting program, and I remember, I want to say it might have even been Barbara who came and told us how great of an idea this is. And everybody's always concerned about, oh, this is going to smell. And so I was very inspired by all of this, and I tried it myself. I could tell you it does not smell. It's fantastic. It's a really easy process. So I'm actually excited to have her back. So I was very inspired last time she came here. So I'm hoping you guys will be too.
Okay. And Tracie, may I ask you to just sit up here?
Yeah, where's an optimal?
This is going to be about as good as we get.
Somewhere.
And the camera's right here.
Okay, so we'll just, I have a few props. We'll see how it goes, just because I'm a hands-on person and we do hands-on work. But those of you who are on Zoom, you know, you can use your imagination a little bit. I know just a quick 10, 12 minutes. So where is the best place for me to face my face?
If you turn towards the screen.
Yeah, is it towards, yeah, probably towards the screen.
Okay, great, and then we can all see. Okay, yeah. So my name's Tracie Troxler, and I'm with Sunshine Community Compost, and we are a nonprofit serving Sarasota and Manatee County. And what we do is we educate and activate people around composting. And basically what that looks like is we have a food scrap drop-off program, and then we serve businesses, condos, and residents. And the main program, which Jamie is part of and Patrick has been part of, is where we set up food scrap drop-off stations in the city parks, and people can come bring their food scraps so that we can keep it out of the landfill, so that we can keep it out of the sink disposal, so that we can turn it into a resource instead of a waste. And then we turn those food scraps into compost, and then people that want it back can have it back, or we donate it to either community gardens or microforest projects around the community to make sure that the food scraps become a community resource, either your individual resource or a community resource. So that's the main that's the main program that we've been running over the last 5 years. And I actually just came from the hospital, and they're composting their food scraps, which is in the thousands, 20,000 pounds as of this month. So we're seeing more businesses that are interested in also recovering food scraps to become a resource. So I just think it's always really important that people know. I'll tell you a little bit more details about the program, but I'm just going to show. This was formerly food scraps. Okay, I'm going to bring it up to the screen, and it's this rich, really nutrient-dense soil food instead of your food scraps going into the landfill. Okay, and a lot of people think that maybe, you know, you put your food scraps in the landfill and they'll decompose, but unfortunately they get trapped in with all the other garbage and sort of accelerate our waste problem. Instead of becoming a resource, which is soil food, it becomes a little bit of a problem. So I'm just going to show you also really quick my traveling landfill, so that you really understand what happens at the landfill, which is basically food scraps get mixed in with other garbage and cannot become a future resource. So I bring this out when I go with the kids. You can see the goo sloshing on the bottom. So imagine this like the size of your building plus 10 other buildings. And so if you mix food scraps with garbage, you get this. This has been in this jar for 7 years. Okay, and these, this nice soil food, this happened in 3 months. This will stay for the next 100. This will be disappeared into the community as a resource, okay? So it's just the good visuals really help lock in some of the value of composting. And then just really quick, I want to just talk a little bit about the soil water connection, and then how our program works in case anybody's interested, and then I'll hop off so you can continue with your meeting. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands when you use compost instead of fertilizer, compost actually helps water stay on the landscape, meaning that it reduces stormwater runoff, right? So compost can hold up to 5 times its weight in water. So when you put compost on your landscapes, you have less stormwater runoff, meaning less nutrients, less stuff that's on the street is going to end up in our watershed. And we all know how important water is, especially where we're located. So, so I just wanted you to know that you can turn your food scraps into a resource that's going to help the entire ecology as well as all of our just general well-being, because we love water. It's our okay. So this
So
is
Tracy,
just
are you're gonna tell us what you add to the food scraps so that compost doesn't end up like smelling the back of a garbage truck?
Yeah, if you are a food scrap drop-off member, basically all that happens is that you go to one of our drop-off stations, you get a bucket, you put your food scraps in a bin that is sealed, and you put a little bit of carbon on top so that the next person has a nice clean sort of slate to work with, and it starts the composting process. And twice a week we go to the parks and we swap out those bins. So that means that we are taking that material out of those bins and we're starting the process going. So that prevents you from having any smell. It prevents any kind of smells, animals, the traditional things people are worried about. And the bins are within a wooden containment system. So it looks a little bit nicer aesthetically. And it's sealed and locked unless you're a member, and then you can access the system. So if anybody decided they want to participate in composting in this way, you can sign up online. You can get a bucket. You also get this nice nifty little sticker that tells you exactly everything you can and cannot put in there so that we don't end up with, plastic and, funky things. And that's pretty much it. We want composting to be accessible to as many people as possible. We'd like to see more of it here. We need it for our soil and our water and for more healthy landscapes and people ultimately.
Could you explain what was the material you had to put on top of after you made a deposit?
At each site, we have one bin with mulch.
Oh,
And
okay.
there's a little scoop. So you dump your food scraps and you take a scoop of mulch and you put it on top.
Gotcha.
And that way no fruit flies for your neighbor. And we actually start the composting process a little bit earlier.
So for this property where we have 186 units, and Pioneer Park is just almost on the other side of that wall. So you would put some sort of receptacle over there in Pioneer Park?
That would depend on the city. Right now, the closest one is Whitaker Park, which is just another, across from the reserve. That's the
Yes.
closest one, as well as Gillespie Park. So just so you know, the existing parks that are close to this particular site is Whitaker and Gillespie. We also have them at Arlington, North Water Tower Park, and McGanch and Gulf Stream, just right by the farmer's market.
But could we, is the process you lobby the city to?
The process at this point would be that we just talk to the city and find out if they're open to having one at Pioneer Park. I don't know if that was on the original list or not. So that's a possibility if there was enough interest in this particular region. But the closest ones for condos right now would be McGanch by the farmer's market, Whitaker,
Gotcha.
Gillespie. Any other
Are you
questions?
still doing where you weigh it when you're there, or did you guys?
People can do that, but we're weighing the whole bins now, so it's not essential.
Patrick?
Tracy, this is Patrick. Yeah, I found with my bucket that I go about every 2 weeks. So that's about 5 pounds I've been weighing. So we are averaging about 10 pounds a month with a visit every 2 weeks. And what's really nice is you drive there, drop it in, and then walk the park. Get your morning exercise, walk around for 20, 30 minutes, and you've done your composting and got your exercise. So those are good locations. As you know, we did reach out to Bill Waddell at the Bay Park and have been trying to advocate that the Bay Park do a site as part of their demonstrations. They do a lot of all their swell, other things. And I think that would be an ideal location for another demonstration, would have some placards that describe the process. Maybe it's how you then use that as a starter batch in your landscaping in the park. So I guess somehow I'd like to know how much the city through that process is curtailing cost of fertilizer, of added material, landscaping material, et cetera. Is there any, are they tracking any of that? Are they able to show any cost savings?
I don't think around fertilizer use. I think at this point it would just be around the tipping fee reduction at the landfill. Because that material is not having to get tipped down there. You know, so it would take a little bit more dialed down research to refine the fertilizer versus compost use. But I can say that the Bay would be an excellent place to demonstrate the soil watershed connection and educate the public. I mean, I'm all for that. I mean, I'm all for it. I put it in my survey, by the way, too. So yeah, so, but you know, there might be opportunities on the road, and certainly we could provide compost for the region for any planting. So it would be amazing.
Maybe Bob Perlow, in your follow-ups with Bay Park folks, if there's a discussion, you know, that might be something to at least Bill Whitehall said they were open to considering that. I don't know what status has been on that since we asked about 2 months ago. But thank you for all that you're doing, Tracie. This is a great program. We encourage others to do their part too.
Yeah, appreciate the invite.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know I said this when you first came in, but for anybody that missed it, it really, I can't stress enough. I was very nervous that it was gonna smell, and it really doesn't. There's a nice lid. It's about as easy as possible. Like Patrick said, you just go, I would take mine weekly. You just dump it in, you put the compost on top, and you're done. It's just really, really easy. And like Tracie said, there's a sticker on there that'll tell you exactly what you can put in there and what you shouldn't put in there. So
yeah, we want to make
very
it
easy.
Yeah, we want to give compost a good name. So we do everything we can to keep it clean, pristine, and give people back a nice product, or the community a nice product. So, yeah.
What do you do with the product?
We give it back to the people that participate, or we give it to the community gardens and the microforesting projects that are going on.
Jamie was going to be doing a lot of transplanting. She could call you and say, I'd
Yes.
like some of my material back.
Correct.
I do have plants on my
We're
balcony.
gonna be giving some plants away for people that don't want compost. We've been starting little kales and tomatoes, like, I can't use compost, but I'll take a little plant. Okay, great. You know, just keep people in the loop. We want you to know that this is a resource that makes things, you know, uplifts. Yeah.
Tracie, can I jump in here? I don't know if you've approached any buildings downtown. I'm at 1350, and a couple of years ago, we spent over $100,000 cleaning out the pipes, basically the sewage pipes. And the guys that came around said that if it were their, if they were running it, they would stop all the disposals in the buildings, because disposal, what's coming out of the disposals is clogging the pipes, basically, because of the laterals, if it's not flushed with enough water. So I can imagine a marketing campaign to talk to buildings about about doing this, and perhaps reducing the amount of junk going down their disposals and the amount of junk getting caught in their pipes.
Yeah,
I know
that is
5
great.
Points
That is
spent
great.
more than we did. Have you tried that? I mean, have you had
No, I
any
haven't, but
kind
like
of-
that's been a talking point, but to know that it actually happened, we could talk about cost savings right there, like
Okay.
hands down, very easy. Yes, yes. Yeah, thank you for that. That's a great idea.
Can I add to that? Because we did an evaluation here. We have pro-vent drains. Most of the high rises have so-vent drains.
Yes.
And it means that it requires more water to either flush a toilet and we have a campaign here that discourages people from using their garbage disposals. Don't put rice down there, flushable wipes. I mean, everything you can imagine. So now we just keep a plastic bag by our sink. So having something like that we can have and empty out once or twice a week would just be ideal.
Yeah, that'd be
You know.
great. That'd be great. Yeah, and it's also, it's a water savings too. We know that's that's coming up, you know, that's up right now too. So
Our maintenance supervisor recommends that you pretend you don't have garbage.
Exactly.
right.
How do, is there a website or something?
Yes, I have a few cards. I'll leave contact. And there's also another way that we do this that you could consider is that we also have a commercial rate where like a building will hire a bin and everyone brings to that bin at the building, and then we do the pickup
Oh.
and swap is there. So that's another option that you guys can explore.
That's great.
About that.
Well, I don't know how much time I have. I don't want to, I can have an offline conversation.
Couple more minutes.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, we usually do, each 21-gallon bin, it's $65 a month, which breaks down to like $15 a week. And then if you exceed one bin, you go up to 2 bins. So now you're $120 a month. And that's like, you know, depending on how many residents put in there. So we do that at Cityside. We have a roof type compost station there, and I just swap out the bins on the roof and send the bill, and I send them a report on how much was diverted. In some cases, we translate that into water, into carbon emissions, into whatever other kinds of savings. So we could do some water savings metrics on that if that was something that enough people were interested in.
Wow.
We absolutely are, because water is one of the biggest monthly bills.
Yeah.
And Patrick, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just want to say, if you have more than 4 people, that's the savings there. But I think the issue is how to get the condo property to then tie that in to use it with their landscaping. So that's the other thing, is reaching out to landscaping companies that come and service the condos. Do they know what to do with that? Are they prefer to do that, you know, and would that save on the cost of that service? So I think that's something also to negotiate with, you know, your landscaping companies.
Definitely. We just like to see it moving, no matter which way it goes, you know, more across the board. So, okay.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. It's really great to see everyone.
Thanks for
I'll look forward to composting with you all.
And if you